On May 12, 2025, Blake Lively officially entered the extortion and defamation trial involving Justin Bologna, marking her first courtroom appearance in over a decade and immediately exposing cracks in her carefully curated confidence as she faced scrutiny that had been building for months. Before stepping into the real courtroom, she was required to participate in a mock trial, a Hollywood-style rehearsal designed to test whether her narrative could withstand pressure. Yet instead of strengthening her defense, it highlighted every inconsistency she hoped to conceal. The mock trial placed her before fake jurors, a fake judge, and a staged environment that still managed to overwhelm her, revealing reactions that made her legal team increasingly anxious as they watched her struggle to maintain composure. Footage from this confidential session later leaked, reportedly thanks to an underpaid paralegal who decided the public deserved to see how drastically her claimed innocence unraveled when confronted with even mild questioning. In the leaked clips, she delivered several alarming admissions and contradictory statements that cast doubt on earlier depositions and sparked speculation that she may have committed perjury, a federal offense that cannot be brushed off with charm. A preliminary court filing soon hinted that investigators were examining whether she knowingly lied under oath, turning what began as a civil dispute into a far more serious legal threat with potential long-term consequences. The origin of the lawsuit dates back to 2024 when Justin Bologna accused her of defamation, witness tampering, and obstructing contractual obligations tied to the Another Simple Favor sequel, alleging that she attempted to sabotage his career and distort public perception. Investigators later uncovered more than 60 internal emails traced to a proxy account associated with her team that appeared to coordinate a targeted PR smear campaign using altered footage, misleading leaks, and inflammatory gossip. These revelations painted a picture of a deliberate operation rather than a misunderstanding, suggesting she orchestrated an aggressive behind-the-scenes effort to damage his reputation while maintaining a polished public image. Matters escalated further when Taylor Swift, once considered one of her closest allies, was subpoenaed as a key witness expected to provide texts and voice memos that might contradict Blake's claims and significantly strengthen the case against her. As speculation grew, observers noted that Blake's public support network appeared to shrink, with friends distancing themselves and insiders describing mounting tension surrounding the unfolding legal disaster. Financial stakes added another layer of pressure since potential findings of defamation and perjury could result in more than $6 million in damages and legal expenses, straining resources even before considering additional penalties. Throughout the process, her legal team attempted to regain control, but each new leak, filing, or witness development made the situation more volatile and cast doubt on whether any coordinated strategy could salvage her credibility. Public fascination intensified as commentators examined her past behavior, her industry relationships, and the contrast between her glamorous persona and the chaotic allegations now defining the narrative. Observers described the case as a rare moment where the facade surrounding a major celebrity fractured so publicly that even casual fans began questioning the image they once admired. Despite mounting challenges, she continued presenting herself as a misunderstood figure caught in an exaggerated scandal, yet the expanding documentation and witness list made that position increasingly difficult to defend. In many ways, the trial became less about a single conflict and more about the broader consequences of manipulation, image crafting, and behind-the-scenes influence wielded without accountability. As the court prepared for additional testimony, anticipation built around whether Blake would double down on her disputed claims or attempt to shift direction in hopes of reducing potential fallout. With every development, the stakes rose higher, transforming the spectacle into a defining moment not only for her career but also for the public's understanding of how celebrity narratives are constructed and contested. Observers now wait to see whether new testimony or evidence will reshape the case and determine Blake's ultimate legal fate soon. Blake now faces a $1 million fine if the perjury charges hold, pushing her potential financial fallout to nearly $8 million for trying to sabotage a man's career over a movie role and a bruised ego, a meltdown so unnecessary it feels like she willingly detonated her own reputation just to win a PR battle no one else was even fighting. And if the real courtroom wasn't disastrous enough, The chaos inside the May 5th, 2025 mock trial exposed how unprepared she truly was, because what was meant to be a calm 6-hour practice session with a former prosecutor turned into Blake unraveling like a dollar store wig the second the questions got real, contradicting her earlier deposition 3 separate times and basically handing the prosecution ammunition on a silver platter. Her story wobbled so wildly that one of the fake jurors bluntly said they'd vote against her because she seemed too polished to be telling the truth, which is polite courtroom language for she's acting, and badly. Things spiraled faster when, during a controlled Q&A, Blake accidentally admitted she knew about Baldoni's removal from the project before the official decision was made, directly contradicting her sworn testimony and triggering panic in her legal team, who abruptly shut the session down while blaming emotional distress, even though insiders claim they saw the crash coming long before she stepped into the room. Now they have to send her into a real federal courtroom after she already cracked under pretend pressure. The queen of curated image control found herself drowning in her own contradictions, leaked tapes, fake emails, surprise subpoenas, and inconsistencies stacked higher than her red carpet stilettos, turning what should have been testimony into something closer to a self-authored implosion. The most jarring moment came when the fake courtroom fell silent, because what she admitted wasn't messy in the gossip sense. It was messy in the criminal sense, as she confessed to pressuring Lionsgate executives to cut Justin Baldoni from the sequel by threatening to go public with claims of sexual discomfort if they didn't comply, essentially weaponizing a moral narrative as emotional blackmail beneath the guise of empowerment. It got even darker once forensic IT investigators revealed that Blake or someone on her team fabricated at least 3 emails designed to make Baldoni appear unprofessional and abusive, emails edited not on her normal devices, but on a burner laptop like some bargain bin spy thriller. Her recklessness didn't stop there. She violated a 2023 NDA by discussing sealed court documents with an outsider, shredding her own contract like she assumed the rules didn't apply to her. And just when the room couldn't get more stunned, the nuclear moment hit. A 2022 voice memo of Blake's own voice played aloud, capturing her saying, "If he gets in the sequel, I'll make sure this story goes national," exposing her not as someone reacting to trauma, but as someone plotting revenge with the enthusiasm of building a Pinterest board. Legal analysts, real ones, not entertainment bloggers, now warned that if any statement she made in the mock trial conflicts with what she says under oath in the real courtroom, she could face a full perjury investigation, which is felony territory with no room for apology posts or glossy magazine damage control. The financial hit looming over her is equally brutal, because if she's convicted of defamation and witness tampering, she could be staring down more than $6 million in damages, a career-gutting blow that even the world's best stylist couldn't airbrush away, leaving her trapped in a crisis entirely of her own making. Blake is now staring down massive civil penalties, starting with an additional $1.20 to $2 million in fines under California Civil Code Section 47, turning what she thought would be a minor public relations bruise into the most expensive photo op of her perfectly filtered life. And insiders claim the fallout has already begun with 2 major endorsement deals quietly pulling out, including a $3 million beauty campaign planned for fall 2025, a devastating blow considering Blake never loses beauty deals because beauty deals are practically the spine of her brand. But when your image shifts from glamorous icon to liar in Louis Vuitton, those glossy checks stop arriving faster than the public sympathy, and the financial bleeding doesn't stop there, because her production company, Be For Bold, previously marketed as her feminist empire in the making, now faces 3 frozen development deals totaling roughly $9 million in lost future revenue, proving yet again that boldness does not extend to legal fraud. Even Disney, who had been backing her next major film, is now reportedly reevaluating contractual obligations, which is corporate code for ghosting her quicker than Ryan Reynolds allegedly did after Deadpool made more money than her last several movies combined. And when the most powerful rodent in Hollywood starts backing away in silence, you know the situation is catastrophically bad. Insurance adds yet another nightmare, since if Blake is found to have lied during any stage of these proceedings, insurers can legally refuse to cover her liability, meaning every penny would come out of her own pocket, leaving her financially drained, publicly humiliated, and legally exposed inside the very storm she willingly created. With everything collapsing, the circus inevitably went public, because when your reputation is melting at record speed, the least you can do is attempt to spin the narrative, and according to TMZ and Variety on May 10th, someone in her inner circle is allegedly leaking mock trial footage not out of moral duty, but as an attempt to soften public backlash, as if saying, please don't cancel her completely. She's Still Pretty could undo months of documented chaos. The first leak was a clip titled I Was Forced to Stay Silent, a classic Blake maneuver built on painting herself as the oppressed heroine fighting the patriarchy despite simultaneously blackmailing people behind the scenes, and the video racked up 4.2 million views in 24 hours because drama wrapped in designer illusion always sells. Meanwhile, people close to her are quietly escaping the blast radius, with rumors that Taylor Swift's team is scrubbing posts, photos, and online traces of Blake to avoid reputational contamination, and one insider labeled it a reputational conflict, which is Hollywood's sanitized way of saying we refuse to sink with this Titanic. If your best friend is deleting receipts of your friendship, you're not just guilty, you're radioactive. And if distancing were an Olympic sport, Ryan Reynolds would be winning gold, because leaked documents suggest he was warned about Blake's impending courtroom disaster and has since reduced public involvement and paused joint ventures, meaning even Deadpool wants no part in this legal tragedy. And when Ryan chooses silence over sarcasm, you know the house is truly on fire. Her own lawyer, Paige Wexler, was overheard discussing a possible plea bargain, revealing that more leaks and more incriminating receipts are expected, making it clear that the legal strategy has shifted from defense to damage control as her team scrambles to figure out how to stop the bleeding before it destroys everything, though honestly the too late sign has already been flashing in neon. Blake Lively once held the title of America's sweetheart, but now she stands as Hollywood's most dramatic cautionary tale, a fall so violent it should have included airbags, and a YouGov poll from May 11th, 2025 shows her favorability among 18 to 35-year-olds plummeting from 74% to 46% in only 10 days. A collapse so steep it feels like watching a brand implode in real time. People are reacting not just to the scandal itself, but to the hypocrisy of someone selling soft vulnerability and pastel-filtered perfection while secretly plotting career-ending threats in voice memos. The internet, naturally, has no mercy, with hashtag BlakeLead hitting number 3 globally on May 12th, not because of a trivial mistake, but because audio exposes premeditated sabotage spoken in her own voice. Reddit turned into a digital courtroom under r/focelebs and r/popcultureconspiracies, with more than 12,000 comments dissecting every leaked clip, every legal document, and every nervous body language flicker like they're preparing for the LSAT, giving Blake the attention she always wanted, but definitely not the kind she can survive. The public has even launched a Change.org petition calling for Blake to be removed from Another Simple Favor 2, which has already begun gaining momentum as frustration builds around her increasingly unmanageable scandal. The petition has racked up 86,000 signatures and counting, showing this isn't a handful of angry fans but a collective public declaration shouting that they don't want her back. And imagine the humiliation of being fired from a movie you allegedly tried to take over through a sabotage campaign, because the irony practically writes itself. With people saying she wanted to run the show and now she's being pushed off the stage while celebrity commentators who normally play it safe, including Shashi Flo and Andy Seener, are publicly demanding a full cross-examination of Blake's sealed communications because the issue has evolved beyond gossip and into the territory of hard evidence, turning Blake's carefully curated public image into something treated like a crime scene while the internet collectively acts as a massive forensics lab, which is particularly poetic for someone who spent years making sure every photo, interview, and public interaction looked perfectly polished. And just when it seemed like things couldn't possibly get any more chaotic, the May 13th court bombshell dropped in the form of a sealed motion believed to originate from Justin Baldwin's legal team, and insiders whisper that the filing includes a deal to reduce the settlement if Blake agrees to surrender key evidence, essentially revealing that they know she has receipts and believe she would rather turn them over than face complete legal annihilation in court. And then came the next shock, a surprise witness in the form of one of Blake's former assistants who was fired in 2023, a person you'd assume she would have treated well considering they were close enough to know where the metaphorical skeletons were hidden. And this assistant reportedly has first-hand knowledge of threatening phone calls Blake made to studio executives. Not rumors and not vague hearsay, but genuine behind-the-scenes awareness of the power plays Blake assumed would stay private, apparently forgetting how revenge works. And it becomes even more dramatic with the assistant possessing a USB drive containing 19 audio files that are far from innocent lullabies, instead holding recorded sabotage discussions, threats, strategic PR damage control conversations, and other damaging material, meaning this is not just a celebrity accidentally caught saying something foolish, but a case of calculated, documented manipulation that was handed over like an evidence folder in a Netflix true crime documentary, prompting Judge Margaret Solis to order a closed-door pretrial hearing to determine whether the USB recordings are admissible, because if those files are allowed into open court, Blake's public meltdown could transform into a legal bloodbath as she continues spiraling in the press, losing fans, sponsors, and possibly her marriage, leaving only the looming legal death blow represented by those 19 audio files, which legal blogs are already calling the centerpiece of what they're labeling Hollywood's trial of the decade, a description that doesn't feel exaggerated when you consider the backstabbing, fake emails, surprise witnesses, sealed motions, leaked recordings, and the collapsing celebrity persona desperately held together by panic and concealer, making the situation resemble a celebrity apocalypse with an official court date rather than a normal trial. And now that we've entered the endgame, the mock trial has already destroyed Blake's credibility, while legal commentators like ex-DA David Allen suggest she might attempt to testify under immunity, which essentially translates to her saying she'll talk only if guaranteed she won't be jailed. A stunning fall from glamorous red carpets and glossy Vanity Fair coverage to quietly negotiating for immunity because her own words have become legal liabilities, and if she is convicted or even if she settles under terms that imply guilt, the fallout could be nuclear, involving career devastation, multi-million-dollar losses, and public humiliation, so severe that not even the most aggressive PR team could clean it up, marking not just a bad week but irreversible legacy destruction, because while Blake Lively's name once represented elegance and effortless charm, it is now linked with court leaks, extortion plots, and voice memos that sound like villainous audition tapes. And meanwhile, Hollywood is collectively holding its breath as studios grow nervous, brands withdraw contracts, and even friends quietly distance themselves because when a name becomes radioactive, people don't announce their exit. They simply delete evidence and vanish, though the public notices anyway, and while Blake may have believed this was merely another performance or narrative she could control, courtrooms offer no scripts, retakes, or flattering angles, with judges caring nothing for outfits and everything for evidence, leaving Blake with nothing but lies, leaks, and a growing list of people prepared to testify that she is not the victim but the villain, and with new evidence emerging, a surprise witness ready to speak, and more recordings appearing daily, Blake's image isn't simply cracked, it's fully detonated, and she's standing in the rubble pretending the destruction was somehow always part of her plan. The situation is escalating, leaving observers as the consequences grow heavier with every allegation revealed.